Hi, and thank you for joining me for the 2016 Oregon Specialty Crop Block Grant Program Concept Proposal Overview webinar, where you're going to have the opportunity to learn the history of the program, the eligibility, program priorities, and concept proposal information. I want to just kind of mention that I sit next to a window, so you might hear some cars going by, and you'll hear me rifling through my papers to ensure that you have the most recent information through this webinar. My name is Shannon Brubaker, and I am the Program Manager for the Oregon Department of Agriculture Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. On the screen, you're now seeing my phone number, my email address, and our website. On the website, you'll also be able to access our program guidelines document, as well as our concept proposal application form. You'll also be able to get our program priorities and also some information about past projects that have been funded, and the information about how to submit your proposal through the process. In the interest of this program, to be eligible, your project must, specialty crops are defined as fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, dried fruits, horticulture, and nursery crops, including floriculture. To be considered for the program, plants have to be intensively cultivated. They can't be foraged like truffles for truffle oil, juniper berries for gin, and used by people for food, for medicinal purposes, and or an aesthetic gratification, such as our turf-type grasses, nursery crops, Christmas trees, floriculture-type crops. And as well with our processed products, the product must contain greater than 50% of our specialty crop, such as our wine or our ciders. Beer is not included, however, the hops for the beer are included. The Specialty Crop Block Grant Program has been in existence since its creation in 2004 under the Specialty Crop Competitiveness Act, authorized USDA to provide the grants to state departments of agriculture as block grants. In 2014, the Farm Bill reauthorized this program, and through that, it increased funding per year to each as an entire program. From, at the time, it was $55 million, and now it's at $72.5 million for the first 4 years, and now to $85 million in the final year. Allocations to each state also changed in 2014. At the time of the original program, it was done by farm receipts, and now it's done by farm receipts and acreage. And in addition, a new program was created called the Multi-State Grant Program. And you can find more information about the Multi-State Grant Program at the website you see listed here. On the USDA AMS website, that is a program that is done under their purview. You'll note that the $72.5 million and the $85 million being a federal program, we are currently under sequestration. Therefore, we are seeing some overall cuts to the program. Oregon still ranks in the top 10 of specialty crops production, and so we are currently sitting at the 7th overall in receipt of these funds. And so this is good for the overall program itself. State departments of agriculture do submit an overall application to USDA annually, and these are known as what we call our state plans. And this is the process we're currently beginning right now with this concept proposal. For more information about the program in general, and also to access what other states have done, some overall compilation of different things that other states are doing to enhance the competitiveness of specialty crops, you can take a look at the AMS Ag Marketing Services website at USDA. So that's located here, www.ams.usda.gov, and so on. I'll go ahead and pause for a moment in case you decide you'd like to write this down. Okay, just to highlight a couple new items for those of you who are returning to us this year, we have changed our allowability for ask from baseline of 25,000, which was what it has been in the past, to an increased amount of 175,000. Why we have done this is because we would like to look at more impactful projects, which may mean that we need to look at larger, more complex projects as well. Our overall average amount requested is in at about 78,000. That's the average amount that we get requests for, just so that you are aware. But that doesn't mean that we won't fund larger than that. It's just that we want to look at some more opportunity, perhaps in the higher ranges. In addition to that, we usually have allowed in the past only 2 years to complete a project. We are now allowing 2.5 years to complete a project from the date of the award. Also handed down to the state departments of agriculture from the USDA is new performance measure requirements, and I'll go over that a little bit later on. They are a little more intense and a little bit different, but all states are now recording performance measures in a consistent fashion, which allows for us to track the success of this project money a little bit better. So, eligibility. As we've said before, specialty crops are defined as fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, dried fruits, horticulture, nursery crops, including floriculture, and again, as I stated before, Christmas trees and turf-type grasses fall into these categories as well. If you have any questions about specialty crops, there is a list on the USDA website. I have also provided that list in our guidelines document, and I'm glad to discuss with you what a specialty crop is at any time. You can call me. Funding must solely enhance specialty or the competitiveness of Oregon specialty crops. If you have any questions about what that actually means, I'm glad to go over that with you. Grant funds will not be awarded for projects that solely provide profit to a single organization. And I have kind of an example to give you of what does that mean. So organization, institution, or individual. So a company requests grant funds to purchase starter plants or equipment used to plant, cultivate, or grow a specialty crop for a purpose of making a profit or to expand production of a single business. That is not an eligible project. Or a sole business owner requests grant funds to redesign her logo in order to make her value-added product stand out at the local farmer's market. Those are not eligible projects. However, if a single grower requests funds to demonstrate the viability of sustainable small fruit production and partners with Extension to publicize the model of diversification to other regional growers, something like that would be. So single entities can apply for funding if the overall benefit is towards enhancing competitiveness of specialty crops in Oregon. Eligible entities include not-for-profits, for-profits, government entities, including tribal governments and colleges and universities, so commodity commissions, grower groups, pretty much everybody is eligible to apply for these fundings, as long as, once again, they solely enhance the competitiveness of specialty crops. I'm just giving you the overall area that our program funding falls under for the uniform administrative requirements, cost principles, and audit requirements for federal awards under the 2 CFR 200 as implemented in December of 2014. Our cost principles fall under 2 CFR 200 subpart E. Specific guidance and instructions can be found in our guidelines document for, all the specific travel. Yes, you can spend on this. No, you can't spend on that. The allowable and unallowable expenses as you will. We used to give out all the specifics for tribes and universities. However, they are much different now under the 2 CFR 200, and they're very particular to the type of entity that you are. So I encourage you to go to the 2 CFR 200, become familiar with it. If you have any questions, please give me a call. I'd like to help you out with that. I do want to highlight a couple of the areas of restrictions and limitations that our program has. This way you can kind of have this on your forefront as you're thinking about your project. Equipment. Our program does not fund general use equipment. However, when you're looking at a special purpose equipment, such as maybe lab use, if it's like a specific type of microscope or something like that, and these are equipment purchases that are $5,000 or more. Again, I reemphasize it's very restricted for special purpose use only. So give me a call on that if you have questions. I keep saying give me a call, but some of these things are those types of things specific to your project. Foreign travel and all types of travel is an allowable expense, and they must be approved within your budget. Promotional campaigns to increase the sales of XYZ grown watermelon is an acceptable campaign. However, a generic campaign like XYZ grown is not. I commonly will use the example of Celebrate Oregon Agriculture. Many of you might be familiar with that. Celebrate Oregon Agriculture is a campaign that Department of Agriculture does. And we now, it has historically been funded through Specialty Crop Block Grant Program funding. And it represents, in the past, it represents specialty crops, and sometimes it also represents non-specialty crops, and we have to be very specific to what our specialty crops are. So you would want to say Celebrate Oregon Agriculture Cherries or something like that. We would need to be very specific to what the campaign is that we're raising awareness about. Same is true when you're talking about producer sales of fruits and vegetables versus a generic campaign. Rental costs of buildings and equipment are allowable only when directly associated with the project. And you would need to have systems in place to show that tracking, so keep that in mind as well, as to how your buildings and equipment are track specific to the specialty crop project. Additional restrictions and limitations. Grant funds cannot be used on any coupons, incentives, redemptions, or price discounts. This includes awards or certificates of any sorts like that. Grant funds cannot be used for political and lobbying activities. Grant funds cannot be used towards costs associated with trade shows, meetings, displays, demonstrations, exhibits, and rental space for use that do not solely promote specialty crops. So if you are going to, let's say, FoodX, that is not a specific specialty crop campaign, and you're the Oregon Department of Agriculture, and your job is not to solely enhance specialty crops, a trade show like that is very challenging to qualify for this project. Whereas if you are the Pear Bureau and you're going to something like that, your job is to solely enhance pears. And so your qualifications for that is a little bit different. That's a challenging spot, so we can talk a little bit more about that. Maybe in the Q&A session if you all have questions, or if you want to drop me an email about that. Indirect and overhead costs are not allowable in this. Any type of administration costs have to directly associate with the project that you are proposing. And a reminder that anything that's produced out of this, though you may own it, is in the public domain. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the Oregon program itself. Generally speaking, we average about 1.5 to 1.9 million per year. I believe this year's allocation is in about the $1.4 million for the open competitive process. We, again, talking a little bit about our expectation for project proposals is $25,000 for our baseline and $175,000 for our cap. So that's allowable for what you can ask for. The eligibility, we went over that a little bit, but again, it's not-for-profits, organizations, local and government entities, for-profit organizations, industry trade associations, producer groups, commodity commissions, any of those are types of entities are eligible to apply for this funding. Matching is encouraged, however, not required. We do encourage a one-to-one match, and it does help with your showing the involvement of the industry. It helps with showing the longevity of your project and sustainability of your project as well. Again, we changed the duration of your project, so we allow now 2.5 years to complete your project. So from the time you are awarded and you receive notice of startup of your project or your agreements are initiated, 2.5 years from that time period to the time that it ends. So you can plan that within your work plan. These projects cannot begin work until I would say mid-October to November this year, 2016. So you cannot begin your work as you're thinking about your work plan. About the beginning of November is about when I would say start that. And then 2.5 years of that time period. So April, 2 years out, April 2019, I believe. This is a two-phase process, which means that you will have a concept proposal. And then if your concept proposal gets through our advisory committee and then makes it through the selection from our director, then you will get asked into what we call our full proposal. Our full proposal is much more in-depth, and then it gets sent through another selection from an advisory committee as well. That then goes to be scored and then selected into what we call our state plan, as we discussed earlier. You are required to submit biennial and annual reports. I should say annual. I'm sorry about that. So you're required to report twice yearly, and then also a final report. We have an advisory committee. It's made up of 14 industry experts, ranging from food safety certification programs to agriculture experts to marketing experts to transportation experts. So our advisory committee has a depth of knowledge that can help us to make the right decisions that's in the interest of our industry and the most measurable impact of the program as well. We're going to go over our funding priorities, but I just want to kind of give you an idea of how they were put together. There was a survey of the agricultural industry in 2012 to determine how this funding should be utilized and put together. That was done in 2012. They were recently updated in fall of 2014 so that the priorities suited the most recent farm bill. And so some new wording has been done with those. Our full program priorities and definitions are on our website, so I encourage you to go to the website and take a look at that, because what I'm going to share with you right now is just the headers, main categories of our priorities. So our priorities stem from, and again, this is in no specific order, under the market development and access area, we have international category and local farm direct, regional and domestic. And this is the ability to, international would be marketing campaigns into the international area, market access concerns in the international area. And I'm actually currently trying to find my priorities so that I can give you some examples of them. Flip through. May not be able to find them quickly. Sorry about that. And then in addition to that, we have certification programs, which would cover the gamut of things like organic, or maybe it's GAP certification, or with FSMA coming, it could be some trainings oriented around the new FSMA requirements, maybe training workshops or something like that. Here's the marketing and development. International could be understanding trade barriers, trade shows that maybe we want to send some trade shows or trade missions, seminars, workshops, new technologies for requirements and shipments and things like that. And so then for local and farm direct, under the market development and access, connecting farmers and consumers by enhancing direct marketing, support the development and advancement of cooperatives to leverage grower and producer efforts, increasing child and adult nutrition. So there's a various amount of them underneath of the international and local farm direct. Certification program, again, we talked about that. It's GAP and GHP, GFSI, MRL levels, and organic practices as well. So it could be any of those types of certification programs. Food safety compliance, helping with implementation of practices, trainings, and system development. And then improving efficiencies in distribution, post-harvest handling, logistics, storage, warehousing, cold storage, transportation. Transportation is a huge thing right now. Distribution is huge right now. Addressing pest and disease management issues that affect or protect markets and minimize economic harm to specialty crop growers. Training and equipping the next generation of farmers, agronomic and economic and environmental stewardship skills, on-farm labor needs, creating and implementing methodologies for routine and repetitive labor demands, workforce training programs or tools, productivity enhancement innovation, production efficiencies for specialty crops. Let's see, the last one is, okay, so the last one, agriculture and food-related priorities identified by Oregon Solution Network Regional Solution Centers. That is a priority that focuses on rural economic development, and it's a governor's priority area. That priority, if identified, must also identify one of the other priorities. So it has to have something else. Oftentimes they are food system related work, or they have something to do with getting more local food into institutions or something like that. So these are just a brief page, but there's more in-depth program priorities on our website. Okay, so timelines. February 23rd by noon is your concept proposal deadline. And then phase 2 of the, I just want to highlight too, I didn't put this on here for phase 1, but February 9th will be a question and answer session for this rambling of a webinar that I'm giving you right now. But February 23rd is your concept proposal deadline. So keep that in mind by noon. April 6th is when invitations will go out to you if you make it into the next phase. May 10th will be when those are due. And then you can see here the rest of the timeline as we go through the year. This timeline is on our website right now. It should say FY 2016 on this slide, just so that you know, not 2015. That's the first time I've done that. All right, so now talking a little bit about your application requirements. You must use the concept proposal provided to you by Department of Agriculture on our website. It must come to us in Microsoft Word format. We have increased the amount of pages allowable for you, which is now 8 pages. It is required that you send us the cover page that we provide for you on our format, so 8 pages plus the cover page. You can send us up to 5 support/partner letters. Multiple proposals being submitted is okay to do, and you must submit it through our FTP on our website, which I've given you our website location here. Concept proposals required sections are now called the cover page, a project summary, project purpose and industry impact section, performance measures, a work plan, the budget grid, budget narrative, which is a brief section this time, and a matching funds section. Okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity to kind of see our concept proposal score sheet. We have some sections in here that are based on priority, some based on industry involvement and cooperation, innovation, matching funds, overall quality of the project proposal. This section may actually change a little bit, this score sheet, because last Friday we were handed down some changes to our overall concept proposal. The proposal for the full proposal from USDA changed. So we may change the weight of this a little bit, but not a lot, just based on that. We needed to get this out so we can get our process going. This is also in the guidelines document for you to review as well. All right, just to give you a quick heads up, all the information you see here, concept proposal, guidelines, and so forth, is on our website. We are going to have a question and answer session, live question and answer session on our on February 9th. Registration will be posted February 1st. I am out of the office January 14th through the 29th. I will be unavailable, not able to take phone calls or anything. Geez, wow, I should have edited this better. Ignore this section here. February 9th, registration will be posted February 1st. I am not available the 14th through the 29th of 2016. I know this is an awful time for you. It happens to be the best time as a farmer myself to be able to be away. So take note of this, and I'm going to quickly pop up, go to the website, show you some concept proposal tips, and hopefully it won't take us very long, and we'll be done with this. Hang on one second here. Oh, another "this is who I am" slide. Okay. I think I am going to first show you all our web page and how to actually find stuff. So here's our web page. Here's the home site. I know this is probably squinting for you guys. From the home page of Oregon Department of Agriculture, you can get to Specialty Crop Block Grant Program right here under Marketing and Promotion. Once you get to that site, the home page talks a little bit about eligibility and exclusions, and then scrolling down, the timeline. So this is all the timelines that you will need to know right here, updated, and all the years are correct. At the very bottom is where we house the resources you need. For instance, this year's guidelines are right here. And then you can get some summary of projects that might be useful for you. The concept proposal form, very important, right here. Okay, and then there's a link to the USDA if you need to go there. Additionally, on this left-hand nav, you can get program priorities. I mentioned more in-depth program priorities here. That's what I was just rambling about. Additionally, program guidelines, how to apply is here, right here. And uploading to our FTP location, and as well, you can do that at this location. This is the actual form for uploading your project proposal. Okay, so I'm going to close that down. I'm going to close this down, and I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to show you the guidelines document really fast so you all become familiar with it. Hopefully I don't make you seasick. So this is what your program guidelines document looks like when you download it, okay? Within this document, you will be able to have all of the information pertinent to being successful, getting through the concept proposal, potentially through the full grant proposal. However, we anticipate new information before that phase opens. So I'm just gonna jump through here real fast. So unacceptable project information you'll find in here. I encourage you to read through this. Talks all about, you know, the definition of cash and in-kind for this program, indirect costs, typical indirect costs and so forth for entities. our program priorities reiterated, timeline. And then as you get down into the attachments area, sorry, I'm going to scroll really fast. Reporting requirements, that's important to look at as well for you to understand what's your reporting requirements so you know how to track your program. When you get to the attachment area, so I've given you the list. This is not inclusive, but the list of what is considered a specialty crop, it is really crazy long. But then you get down also past that to allowable costs and unallowable costs, right? So then this will help you as well as you go through your process. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just close that down. And I'm going to give you the concept proposal. This is probably the most important part of why you're here. All right, this is what it looks like when you download it. All right, here is what we call the instructions page. Whenever we talk about removing instructions, this is what you want to remove. So what's required? Cover page, 8-page proposal, including all budget and matching details. So you have to fit in this 8-page. Must be submitted in Microsoft Word 12 times font and will not be accepted in any other format. Remove this instruction page and any other instructions prior to submitting your proposal. This means if it doesn't say keep this or repeat it, you can take it out in order to fit it in the 8 pages. Deadline for submission, February 23rd by 12 noon, no exceptions. Letters of support are limited to 5, so pick the best ones, make sure that they mean something, and that it's going to mean that when our advisory committees see them, it's very impactful statements. And please submit your letters of support in PDF format. That is our preferred method. Submission is through this website. Again, I showed you on our website, ODA's website, that this link is there. So you can go there and just click it and it's right there. Okay, Tuesday, February 23rd at 12 p.m. noon. We prefer you have a consistent naming convention so that when we download it, we know what your name is. So if you are, I don't know, EcoTrust, it says EcoTrust and your project name, and then our concept proposal, and then what you're actually doing. Same here. So we know everything that comes down and we can download it, all loads into our system properly. Reiterated my contact information in case you need it. All right, this is what we consider your cover page. Do not recreate a cover page, use our cover page. All this information that you're gonna type in here, my name is Shannon Brubaker, or Oregon Department of Agriculture, whatever you wanna call it. Okay, your address, right? That information all gets downloaded and put into a system on our end. Your contact name, right? So that information gets downloaded on our end and put into a system. So we need you to ensure that you use this form. Okay. Grant request is the amount you're asking for from us, your cash match, your in-kind match, and your total project cost. Don't forget to fill this part out. Fruits and your commodities that you're going to be actually working with here, we do use this so that we can actually have an idea of how or what we're using. So fruits, this is not a checkbox, you just put an X here. List as many as you can. Pears, apples, blueberries, whatever. Nursery, I know that's going to be a challenge. Do the same in front of this. And you could put it in categories if you'd like. So you could put greenhouse or whatever. So it just depends. So you just need to decide what you're working on. Okay? All right. Funding priorities. We talked a little bit about this, but you should have one main priority for your project. If you have more than one, that's okay, except for you should probably have one main priority that's the highest one you're diving deep into with this project. If you list this project, you have to have another one, right? Remember we talked about this. This is the Oregon solutions priorities identified by the governor's regional solutions teams, right? This focuses, generally speaking, on something else that we're working on. And these have to have a letter of support from the Regional Solutions team. So these ones are probably a little more particular that you need to contact me for. A 10-word or less project title, and optional, but preferred, list your project partners. That's your cover letter, okay? This actually starts your 8-page count for your project organization and summary. 200 words or less. We've given you an example. Name the applicant organization, that's you, and what you're actually going to be doing, concise outline of the project outcomes, and a description of the general tasks that you'll be completing. 250 words or less. Okay, here's an example. Then it begins the project purpose and industry impact statements. We prefer that you restate the questions, so there's 5 of them here. Restate them, and then begin to type what they are. What is the specific issue, problem, or need to be addressed? So tell us why or who, what's going on. Briefly tell it. This is a concept, right? We're not asking for super in-depth information. We just need to know enough to be able to say, yeah, this is an important thing, we need to get it done. Same with, why is it timely and important? What do you hope to accomplish with the project? And you can do this in bulleted objectives. So concise bulleted objectives. Sometimes you can put 20 or more. Maybe you have one main or 3 main goals, and you have concise bulleted objectives you can put underneath of this one, right? Oops. Who are the beneficiaries and the overall impact? This is where we get at who is Oregon Agriculture's main, what's the main impact on either if it's beneficiaries, if it's consumers that are beneficiaries, and why. If it's the Oregon agriculture industry, and why. Rural economy, are we creating jobs, retaining jobs? What are we actually doing, and why is that beneficiary? Again, short and brief. Describe the specialty crop stakeholders and who supports this project. And again, this is not you, the stakeholder. This is external to you. This is the new part, so I want to really kind of hone in on this aspect of it. So new this year, we have a different way of measuring our performance. So we have what we call outcome measures. That's these. We have 8 of them. And then we have outcome indicators. So right here, we're asking you to select one of these outcome measures that's most suitable for the project that you are proposing. And then you are to select an outcome indicator. Where can you find these outcome indicators and outcome measures so you can actually understand them a little bit more? I have a attachment. The attachment's called Fiscal Year 2016 Specialty Crop Block Grant Performance Measures. It's down below. I'm going to get dizzy a little bit here. Follow me. Attachment. Fiscal Year 2016. It gives you a little explanation as to why we're doing this. So we have to now track performance equally with other states so that we can make sure that our work that's being done with this is successful and that we have real impact for our industry. So this talks a little bit about it, and we will be sharing this with the Office of Management and Budget, Congress, agricultural community, and the general public. So we want to ensure that what we're choosing to do with this is track consistent and that we have a way of doing so. So number 1 is to enhance the competitiveness of specialty crop through increased sales. This is mandatory for all marketing and promotion projects. So you want to look at this one, read through it so you understand it a little bit more. And then the indicator for this is sales increased from a baseline to this much and by said % as a result of marketing and promotion activities. Same with enhancing specialty crops through increased consumption. There's an indicator blank of this, total number of, and then you're going to say your target amount was the number of gained knowledge of specialty crops, the number that reported intention to eat more specialty crops, the number that reported eating more specialty crops. Or number 4, number of new specialty crops and or specialty crop products introduced to consumers. So you have a baseline you're starting from, then you're going increasing amount. Outcome 3, enhance the competitiveness of specialty crops through increased access and awareness. So I'm going to go back up here to where the performance measures are, and I've given you an example here. They've used outcome number 2. So outcome number 2, enhance the competitiveness of specialty crops through increased consumption. Okay. Outcome number 2 and indicator number 1. Of 150 total number of children and youth reached, 132 will gain knowledge about eating more specialty crops. So that's what we're asking for. It's not a percentage. We're asking you to say, okay, we will reach this many people and we will get this many people to eat, consume, buy, purchase, or something like that. So you're wanting to find the outcome that's most suitable for your project proposed, and then select the indicator under that. This one's going to be a little bit more interesting, and once you decide which one you want, we can talk about it and hopefully be able to come up with the most suitable outcome for you. New for you, new for me, and it was just handed over to us, so be patient as we go through this year. Miscellaneous outcome measure, there is opportunity. If you don't find one you think is suitable, that you can propose one. It's very unlikely that it'll get moved through, but we can try and do that. This is where you place your work plan. Identify the activities that are necessary to accomplish the project objectives. And then in this case, we're just asking you to say this is what you plan on doing, maybe by a month or a year. In the full proposal, we would have you put a table in here. That would say, maybe the person or the contractor, time of year, and then also like your performance monitoring plan and so forth. Okay, now we're talking about your budget. This is what we call our budget grid. So this is done by cost category, federal cost category. This is your grant request from specialty crop dollars here, your cash match, your in-kind match, and your total project cost here. You're going to go ahead and fill this out once you determine what your budget total is going to be. We ask you to wait until after you've actually worked through your narrative, because sometimes this doesn't always match what you have down below. So we want this to be filled out. And then down below is your budget narrative. This is brief. This is really like, Susie will do these types of things for this amount of money. So here you're going to put in what your total specialty crop grant request is. Here, ODA, just your request from us. Then here's the percent of personnel. So let's say you ask for 90,000. Oops. And of that, it's going to be 30,000 of personnel time. And then you describe here, and then of that 5,000 is whatever. And you have to reiterate that it's Susie Fringe, right? And then travel time, you need to talk about where the travel is going to be. So let's say you have $200 in travel, and then talk about where they're going to go. So it's Salem to Portland, and why. Enter why. Don't put the word why, but why and where. Same, so equipment, keeping in mind this is special use only. Supplies, you're going to put a description of, let's say you need 2,500 in supplies. So give a description. If it's seed and it's, I don't know, let's say that it's whatever it is that you need to put in there. So all the supplies, you're going to give a description of what they are. So it's brief description of what you need here. It's greenhouse supplies, I don't know, so forth. Contractual, say you need a marketing component on, it's 15,000. So you're going to have to give a description of what that is. So forth with other and so on. And then you're going to have a matching component. You have to give the matching budget, right? So remember, matching is not required. However, we recommend it. So you want to give that matching total there. Same thing, doing the brief description of what it is. And then I've given an attachment that helps you to understand a little bit more of what we're after in each one of these categories, right? Okay. So I don't want to keep you too long on this. I do want to share with you a little bit about what our proposed full proposal will look like. Only so you have an idea. Now, given that last Friday we were just given our new instructions from USDA, and this is potentially going to change, I just want to give you an idea of what the template looks like. What's in it may change, or will change, I'm going to say. But I want to give you an idea of what Oregon's template looks like. So we separate ours by all instructions in the front and then an actual form. So we let you know we have an abstract and project purpose. That likely will be project purpose and industry impact combined, much like the other. Measurable outcomes clearly changing. I want to share with you quickly work plan. This is what our work plan looks like, and this will be the same. Project activity, who will do it, when it will be accomplished, and a performance monitoring activity. That's what it looks like. This is an example. Some of this stuff is going to change, but I want to give you an idea. So template for our full proposal budget area, we do template like this, okay? Very detailed, much more inclusive of what's necessary, travel, and so forth. Okay, so folks, I just want to remind you that I will be gone for the time period of January 15th through the 29th. We have a question answer session February 9th. I will post a webinar as soon as I get back from my time off. I want to thank you for joining me today and have a wonderful January. Happy New Year.